Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Blue is the New White podcast. We are back in the saddle, bringing you a round of new episodes, starting with the one and only Jessica Bannister, or HVACJess as you might know her on Instagram. Jess started off the typical route, going to university after high school and landing in an admin position for the better part of 10 years. Once that career became less fulfilling than she expected, she joined the family HVAC refrigeration business with her dad and brother. She started off in the office, but grew tired of the same work every day and was dying to be in a position to not have to pick out a new outfit every day. So she threw on a uniform and headed out into the field with her dad. The excitement she got from being a technician was more fulfilling than anything else she had done. She gets to experience new things every day, see cool shit, and bring satisfaction to those in need of her services. She's now a level 3 apprentice, Instagram HVAC influencer, and president of the Women in HVACR Canada. Listen in to hear all about Jess and how she found her definition of success in the skilled trades. Also, don't forget to get your tickets to EGIA's Epic 2021 event, October 28th and 29th at the Paris, Las Vegas on the iconic Las Vegas Strip. They're going to have celebrity keynote presenters like Daymond John of Shark Tank, John Taffer of Bar Rescue, and Captain Sully Sullenberger, airline pilot from the Miracle on the Hudson. There's going to be breakout sessions delivered by legendary industry experts, access to best-in-class products and service providers, dynamic networking opportunities, and an unforgettable evening party on the rooftop of the Paris. It's going to be wild, and believe me, guys, I would not back this if I didn't believe in it. I told them that too. So check it out. You can get $50 off registration with my code BLUE50 at epic2021event.com. That's EPIC2021 event.com. That's coupon code BLUE50. Trust me, you want to be there. Anyways, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and on our website at blueisthenewwhite.com to receive all the latest updates. As always, this show's not monetized and we don't run ads, aside from that little ad for Epic 2021 because I believe in it. But otherwise, we rely strictly on the word of mouth from our listeners to further the mission. So if you enjoy this episode, please take a second to rate it, review it, and share it. The future generations of tradespeople depend on it. They depend on you. So thank you again and enjoy this episode of the Blue is the New White podcast with Jessica Bannister. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Blue is the New White podcast. So excited about our guest today, Miss Jess, but not only Jess, HVACJess. I think some of you out there might know who she is. Some of you who don't are going to get a little lesson today in who she is. Jess, welcome to the Blue is the New White podcast.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, man, I can't wait to get into it and have this conversation. So for those of my audience that doesn't know who you are, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of tell us who you are and how you got to where you are today.
All right. As my name may suggest, I am in HVAC, which is heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. I'm a level 3 apprentice here in British Columbia, and I work with my family in our family business called Cam Cool Refrigeration. It's just myself, my dad, and my brother. My dad is teaching me the trade as well as my brother. My brother has been qualified for over 10 years, even though he is 5 years younger than I am. That's where I am today.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about growing up, right? You know, this show, my audience knows we talk a lot about the perceptions and stuff like that. So one of the things I'm most curious about is your high school experience. Did you always want to get into HVAC? Is this something that, you know, obviously it's a family business. Is this something you were pushed into? Is this something you were guided into, or did you fall into it? Tell me how that worked.
I am in HVAC now as a second career. I'm now in my late 30s, and HVAC or any trade. Yes.
You look like you're about 19.
I'll take it. Thank you.
All right, so go ahead.
So yeah, mid 30s, I did a career change. I was In high school, I went to an all-girls Catholic convent school, was definitely pushed towards university, even though my dad was in the trades for my whole life, and even though my brother went into the trades right after high school, like my dad did, it was never even considered an option for me. Not in my family, but not even for myself. I didn't even think that HVAC or any trade was an option for me because was kept told, go to university, get a degree. And so that's what I did. I went to university. I did not get my degree. I stopped going before I got my degree, which is a very sensitive topic in my family, but that's okay.
What'd you go to university for?
I did my first year in information technology, and then I switched majors to something more stable and more secure, like business administration. You can't go wrong there. Yeah, you can go wrong if you don't finish your degree. So that's where I went wrong. And I ended up working in an office, a very fancy financial firm in downtown Vancouver, where I spent probably 10 years just in administrative roles. And I enjoyed it. I certainly did. But I always had this feeling of like something was missing, like the fulfillment just wasn't there for me. And that's when I joined my family's business. However, I will say that when I joined them, I started in the office because that's kind of where my skill set was, and that's where I was expected to be in the office, to be doing the bookkeeping, to start doing some networking, and all of that stuff.
Interesting.
Fast forward about 9 months, I found myself getting really kind of annoyed that my dad and my brother would come back to the office with all these stories of their day. They visited the most interesting places, these factories and these different kinds of companies, seeing these different kinds of people and machinery and equipment. And I'm like, I've been sitting here in the office all day. I want to come and see what you guys are seeing. Not only that, I was having a hard time with the jargon, like invoicing and quoting certain words. Like I knew they were words, but they didn't actually mean anything to me. Yeah. Like I always joke, like I thought I had no idea the difference between a compressor or a condenser or a capacitor. Like they're all these C words that feel like the same thing. Knowing now they're vastly different. And that's a little bit embarrassing to say that I thought that, but I just had no idea. So I said to my dad, I'm like, can I just come out with you, see what you do on a daily basis, and maybe make some sense of these words in my mind? Started out with him for a few days a week. Eventually, I found myself wanting to be in the field more than in the office. And so having done that, I decided to register as an apprentice in British Columbia and start logging these hours because I was out there on rooftops and under trucks and everything anyway. So I started to log those hours towards my apprenticeship.
Wow. What did your dad and brother think about that when you told them that that's what you wanted to do full time? You wanted to be in the field?
My dad and my brother were mostly intrigued that I was even interested in this. I think they enjoy the excitement that I get out of everything. I find everything in my HVAC job exciting and interesting, and I'm very easily excitable. So when they've done, the 17th condenser coil clean for the week or whatever, I'm like, oh, we get to do another one. So I think they enjoy my enthusiasm and excitement. My mom was the one person who gave me a little bit of hesitation. She asked me, what is your husband going to think? And the answer to that was, it doesn't matter. Like, my husband's not doing the job. It's me doing the job. And luckily for me, my husband has been completely supportive and encouraging. And he says, whatever makes me happy, like, all the power to me. And I feel pretty happy and pretty lucky to have those kinds of relationships in my life.
Yeah, no, and you definitely are. You hear too many stories that go the other direction, right? And that's something I hear a lot. I talk to a lot of tradespeople all over the world, and I'd say about 90% of the women that I talk to, right, specifically, they've gotten pushback basically their entire lives for wanting to be in the trades. From the second that they decide that they want to be into the trades, and of course I'm not talking all women. I'm just, in general, it seems like a lot of them do, and probably for no other reason than it's still people don't expect it, right? It's still very much, kind of a man's world out there, in the skilled trades. Just one of the things that, I'm trying to bring awareness to is that, we need women in the trades. Everybody's sitting here complaining about how there's this big skilled trades gap and we can't find tradespeople, yet we're ignoring 50% of the world population. Like, and so that's really interesting to me. And you definitely sound like you have a good support group around you, to make that happen. So, I'm curious, what was it? I mean, obviously you spent years, like 10 years and 9 months in an office style setting, right? And so what was it about the field that excited you besides everything? Don't say everything. You already said that everything excites you.
Oh, well, everything.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
There's a lot of stuff that excites me about it. One of the things, funnily enough, is wearing a uniform. I don't have to choose what clothes to wear every day, and I don't have to impress anybody. I get to wear the same black pants and, shirt every day, and I love it. I love it.
That is the first time anyone's ever said that on this show. That's fantastic.
Seriously. The other thing is just the variety of work. I am very lucky in our small family business. We work on a huge variety of equipment in a huge variety of places. And I enjoy where I get to go. A lot of places I get to go behind restricted access doors, like mechanical rooms and roof access doors and stuff like that. And I just find the factories and the places that we work in, they're just so interesting. We walked into a plastic factory the other day, and they've got this machine that's on hydraulics, and it goes into an oven, and then it pulls it out, and it does this big turning. Like it's amazing to think that a human being created that. Is just fascinating to me, and I get to see all this cool stuff, like all these production lines in factories, and it's just so interesting. And not only that, another thing that I really love is the relief that we bring to our clients. Some businesses rely on refrigeration heavily for their own business. If we have, say, our meat supplier, their main freezer goes down, that's millions of dollars of lost product for them. And so it's so important for us to get there on time and do a good job for them. Some people rely on refrigeration for comfort. Think of, hospitals and clinics and old age homes and all of that stuff. So there's a lot about HVAC and a lot about the trades that brings me so much joy and excitement and enthusiasm.
Yeah. And that's, I love to hearing you say that because, quite frankly, look, the trades have a marketing problem, right? And that's the way that I look at it is that, once upon a time, they were regarded as honorable work, right? It was an honorable profession, and you were proud to be a tradesperson. And then somewhere along the line, it was decided that type of work, working with your hands, was second rate to any white collar job that you could possibly get. And the trades have never come back around, right, and remarketed themselves to explain stuff like this. We've relied on the stereotypes and things like that we see in mainstream media, the plumber's crack and the grease monkey and, all that kind of stuff. And it really just puts a negative lens over the skilled trades as a whole. But I think if more people knew that it can create interesting experiences, you can see cool shit, and you can actually see the gratitude and satisfaction over somebody's face when you personally do something to help them, that maybe they'd be looked at in a little bit different light,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so, I like to share this story. I think I've shared it 1 or 2 times on this show already, but as far as experiences go, so my company out here in Phoenix, Arizona, we started out we do HVAC and refrigeration as well, but we started out doing commercial cooking equipment, right?
Okay.
And so it's an interesting trade. It's kind of a niche, right? And we represent a manufacturer that actually sold a unit to a place called Phantom Ranch. I don't know if you've ever heard of Phantom Ranch, but it is literally at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. It's got like a 6-year waiting list, right, of people wanting to stay there because it's so coveted. And there's only 2 ways to get down: by mule or by helicopter. I'm serious. So we represented this manufacturer and the unit went down. So we had to send a tech out there, and this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity, and they offered a room and all this kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
You can't go down and up in the same day unless you're going by chopper. And, as much as we screamed to give us a chopper, they wouldn't splurge for that. But that would have been a cool image. One of my technicians rappelling out of a helicopter down to fix a unit.
Absolutely.
I could have marketed that for years. But no, we took a donkey, which is fine too. But
got a good story.
Yeah, and that's the point, right? Is that he got this experience. The tech that I sent got this experience that he may never have gotten another chance to do because of the trades, and that happens so often in our industry, things like that, like you said, going behind restricted access doors. And, that's the kind of intrigue. You're walking through a building and you see, do not enter. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? So, stuff like that, I think that we could probably make a better push to let people know that, hey, you can find fulfillment in something like this if these are the things that you value.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any specific examples of either like some cool stuff that you've seen, or even like you said with seeing the relief of a client? Does anything stand out in your head about when you kind of came to the rescue and you were the hero?
Yeah, well, kind of recently we serviced this little bakery, and it was actually just before Father's Day. She called us, her display cooler went down. It's her busiest weekend of the year kind of thing. Can we get there? And when we showed up, she literally answered the door like an angel. She was like, "Oh, it's so good to see you." And we were like, okay. So that was really cool. That feeling of like, they're waiting for us and we're going to solve their problem. It just feels so good. Yeah. Maybe another cool place. We've worked on lobster tanks. So lobsters like to be cold and they don't like to be warm. So yeah, lobster tanks is a cool one that I worked on. There was a restaurant that in Whistler. So Whistler is a major ski resort around here. We had the Olympics here in 2010. They have a restaurant that underwent major renovations, like millions of dollars worth of renovations. And inside the restaurant is a mosaic paint. It's not a painting, it's a mosaic, but it comes from the Vatican and it's worth, I don't know, $750,000. And so for this renovation, that's the only piece that they left in place. They boarded it up and everything else was gutted and redone. And then at the very end, they pulled the board off and we got to see this piece of artwork, which was mind-blowing, cool. Incredible.
Straight from the Vatican, huh?
So cool, that's so cool. And that job, because it was in Whistler, same sort of thing. They had us out, they put us up for the night or for a couple of days actually. And it was stressful because there aren't any suppliers or distributors out there. So we had to make sure we had all the things in our truck ready to go for that week. Because if we miss one little part, is a 2-hour drive back to Vancouver.
Yeah, those are the things we run into in the industry, huh? So all this cool stuff we're talking about, and thinking back to your high school career and around your high school career, why do you think it is that, stuff like this? I mean, I know the trades themselves have a marketing problem, but why aren't educators making this kind of stuff known? Why do educators make it seem like a career in the trades is worse than a career that you could get from going to university or getting a degree or white collar? Why is that?
You know what? I don't know why it is. And I think it's still that stigma that has been around for so long. we need to get away from it because what I'll tell you, I've gone through university and I'm going through trade school right now. I just did my level 2 in March. And let me tell you, trade school is not the easy way out. It is not. I take school very seriously, and it is really hard work. And skilled trades is called skilled trades is called skilled for a reason. So I don't know why there's still that stigma. Even, my mom, when I told her, she was, what is your husband going to think? It doesn't matter what anybody thinks, really. It's a job that I get to do. And I really do think that we need to be hitting these kids early, showing them what an opportunity it is. And that's why I'm so active on my Instagram page, because I want people to see what a general day in my life looks like. Not only a day, but every day. So, and I post everything. I post my challenges, I post my successes. It's all out there for you guys to see because it's real life. And I did a podcast interview last year or the year before when I was first starting out, and the person interviewing me asked, what advice would you give? And my advice at that time was, go into the trades. You're going to love it. Do it, go for it. But now, having been in it for just a little bit longer now, I really suggest finding someone that's in the trades that can speak to you on a very casual level, that they'll tell you how it is. Because this year, the summertime kicked my ass.
Oh, yeah.
It was rough. And now my message is, it's not for everybody. It definitely takes a certain kind of person. But if it is for you, it is the most rewarding experience you can have. There are challenges every single day. And it's hard. It's not an easy job. Physically, mentally, emotionally, it all takes a toll on you. But fixing something or installing something that professionally that wasn't there before you came, it feels freaking awesome, man. Yeah. I feel like a superstar sometimes. I just did that. Can you believe that? So
yeah, and that's it really is, and it really is for specific people. The type of people that I talk to that I've found that love the trades are the ones who are always seeking a challenge, right? Because there's some people out there that really, that's not their forte. They don't want a challenge. They like the safety and security and, all that kind of stuff. And no, not speaking ill of those people at all. That's completely fine. That's a personal preference. But the ones who enjoy a challenge, there are no shortage of challenges in the skilled trades every single day. My dad always says, he goes, it's not just a job, it's an adventure. You learn something new every single day. Yeah. Whether you try to or not.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, sometimes you feel like a superstar, a rock star, and sometimes you just feel so discouraged, that just kicked my ass and that sucked.
Yep. And that's where the type of person comes in too, right? Because those days that you get discouraged and those days that you're kicking yourself in the ass, those are the days that the ones who are willing to stand up to the challenge will learn from, and I can tell that's how you are. And that's how I am. I'm always, when I was in the field, I was in the field for about 10 years before I took over the company. And I remember going home at night on those days and laying awake saying, what could I have done better? What could I have done differently? How could I have avoided that? How could I have handled this situation better? And then finally you go to sleep, you wake up and you do it differently the next day until you keep getting better and better and better at what you do. And the fulfillment is unbelievable because it feels like you're not just building your skills, but you're building yourself as a person, right? You're building your character.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'd even take that to my home. I'm a woman, right? And I would usually delegate the man jobs to my husband because whatever, that's easier. But being in the trades now, I want to do the things in my house. I replaced my carburetor in my kitchen. How cool is that? I would never even consider that something that I could do before going into the trades. Yeah. Now I'm I can take care of that. And if it's a challenge, I'll figure it out and I get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's awesome. And if anybody's listening out there, I think that's incredibly attractive when a woman can fix stuff like that because you don't see it. And it's typically it's typically like, exactly like you said, the first thought is to delegate something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's intimidating.
Right.
Yeah.
But to take on that challenge is awesome. I just think there's something special about that. So on the topic of being a woman in the trades, has there ever been any, and if you don't want to talk on this, just say the words and, I'll just try to dig deeper. No, I'm just kidding. But no, have you faced any adversity because you've been a woman in the trades? Now, I know that you're working with your dad and your brother, so maybe not in a typical sense of, entering into a new company and being, the apprentice and being a woman. But you ever get any funny looks by customers or anything like that? Be honest.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I feel very lucky. I think working with my dad and my brother does definitely take that level off because one of them is always around me usually. So I feel like there's a bit that like layer of protection. I find maybe on the phone is where I find the most diversity. If I'm calling for, parts, availabilities, a lot of places they'll say, oh, just ask the tech what this is or ask the tech what they saw. And I'm like, I was the tech on site anyway. But honestly, I've been super lucky. I've had a couple of people offer to carry my tool bag for me, which I find funny.
And chivalrous.
Sure. I got this. It's my tool bag. And then one I have this one place where I change the filter every single month. It's a dirty filter every month. It's just the location. And the filter has got to be folded like in half to get it out. And then I got to fold it in half to get it back in.
I saw your Instagram of that.
Yeah. So same thing every month. And it's just a little bit of a hassle that I have to fight with. But one day I went there and there was a cleaner there while I was doing this. And he came up to me and he's like, ma'am, do you need help? I'm like, no, this is my job. So I was like, I thought that was pretty sweet. But like I said, I've been super lucky. I haven't had much diversity. I find even in school, people tend to stay away from me. I'm not there to make friends or I'm not there to make enemies or anything like that. They just kind of keep their distance. And I find they form their own little friendships with their own people. So honestly, I've had a really good experience as a woman in the trade. So I'm very lucky.
Awesome. That's great. And I love hearing that because, it makes me feel like we're trending in the right direction. Right. And,
yeah.
And listen, this isn't about necessarily diversity or anything like that. That's what I love about the trades. It's, can you get the job done?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Nothing else should matter.
Yeah.
And too often I think that it does. I've heard some stories, and I've also heard stories like yours where, it's been mostly a good experience, which I think is fantastic because that is, sometimes it's hard talking with people who have had really bad experiences because I feel like, it might deter some people from trying to take on that challenge because not only is it the challenge of learning the skill, but then it's the challenge of, kind of being a woman in the trades or whatever, but I don't think that should turn anybody off. I think I think stories like yours should encourage people to say, hey, yeah, this is definitely an option for me. Maybe the only reason they were thinking of not going into the trades is because they were a woman and they didn't know if they'd fit in.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think it's really important for us to work together too. Like men and women have their own skills, their own strengths and weaknesses. So I think it's important for us to work together. I'm a small, petite person. I try to go to the gym a lot so that I can make up for some like physical deficits or whatever. But like I rely heavily on my brother or my dad when I have to lift something, and they rely on me when they have to, I don't know, squeeze into a tiny place. So yeah, I think it's really important to work together, not like us versus them or anything like that, but really teamwork makes the dream work. So
that's exactly right. And we can complement each other's skill sets no matter who we are,
exactly.
and that's the bottom line. So when did you, shifting the conversation a little bit, when did you start getting more involved in social media?
I was right about when I started as an apprentice. I wanted to share my journey. I wanted to, it's a fun creative thing for me. I'm not a creative person, but on Instagram, I feel like that's my creative outlet. And I put a lot of effort into it. But also, I just want to encourage other girls, either girls or women, choosing their first career, because at this point in my life, I'll be 38 in a couple of months, and I would just really like to be further in my career at this point. And if I'd started out just out of high school, like my brother did, I could be, who knows?
Yeah.
So I want to encourage girls to consider a career in the trades, but also other women looking at second careers to consider this, and hopefully give them an avenue maybe to reach out to me, I can answer any questions. I am also the president of the Women in HVAC Are Canada group. We're a brand new organization that launched this year on International Women's Day. So we're just trying to create more awareness that this is an option for girls, for people looking for jobs.
Awesome. That's fantastic. How relatively new is it? Is it like brand new?
Well, we launched on International Women's Day. So in March of this year, we launched. And we are looking towards next year to maybe have our first in-person event. We are across Canada, so that makes it a little bit difficult because, like our board members, we span across 4.5 hours of time zones. So sometimes it's difficult to even get people on the board call. But
yeah.
So yeah, having an in-person event might be a little bit tough as well because I won't be involved, but a lot of the people are out in Ontario. So.
Oh wow.
We'll see how that evolves. We'll see how that turns out. But yeah, we're excited. We're here.
Fantastic. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
Sweet.
No, that's really great. And you know, what a day and age that we live in, that we have a tool like Instagram. You know, I use LinkedIn a lot. I'm not a big Instagram guy. I need to get better about my social media, you know, but it really is such a great tool because there's a level of transparency now that we can bring to the trades, you know, that was never there before. And
100%. Yeah.
Like you said, what you want to show what a day in the trades looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing a fantastic job of that, you know, on your Instagram. I mean, it's very, very entertaining, and also educational, but that's the line that we have to walk to generate intrigue, right?
Yes.
Is how can we be somewhat entertaining and then somewhat educational and mix them both together so we can get people's attention. Right?
Yeah, and make it that they want to see it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's really so. How did you get involved with Rock the Trades? Obviously, that's how we got connected. Explain to me how they got in touch with you.
Yeah, so it's a similar sort of thing. They asked me if I would be interested in being one of their rockers and being part of their campaign, which I said, of course, yes, yeah, rocker. So I just want to be exposed to more organizations and groups like that because they are doing such a great thing for kids and for the trades in general. So the more I can be part of stuff like that, the better. Yeah. And they're awesome, right? They're
cool.
very trendy and yeah. So,
so awesome.
Hopefully we can get in front of more kids that way and spread what's happening. Did you see Barbie the Welder the other day? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So cool.
I did a podcast with her. She was actually my 100th episode. So if
nice.
Anybody listening hasn't seen that, or if you haven't seen that, go back and watch it. She is like the coolest person ever. I think we talked on the show for like 2 hours. I felt like Joe Rogan, you know, except I didn't ask as good of questions. But no, she's awesome, and some of the stuff she creates is unbelievable,
incredible.
You know, and there's a couple other rockers too that have some pretty incredible talents on there.
Yeah. So if we can just keep showcasing those and putting them out there, I think we're on a good path.
Exactly. So just a few more questions for you, and then I'll let you go. But I'm really curious. This is something I love to ask everybody in the trades. You know, you had mentioned the experiences, you had mentioned the cool stuff you get to see, you had mentioned, you know, fulfillment and the relief on your clients' faces. But if somebody had if you had to tell somebody what the most rewarding part of what you do is? If you could only pick one thing, what would that be?
I would probably say the challenge / reward part of the trades. I'm one of those people that, like you were mentioning before, I seek challenge. Sometimes that's a physical challenge, like raking up all the leaves in the garden. Like, you see it, you do it, and then you see a result.
Yeah.
And to me, that is the best. It's every single day is a challenge, and pretty much every single day is a reward as well.
Yeah.
And it just makes you feel good about what you're doing.
Yeah. That's such a great answer. And you're absolutely right. I think that challenge, no matter how hard that challenge is, once you accomplish it, you can't help but feel a sense of growth, right? A sense of personal development, a sense that you took a step forward in the right direction in your life or in your career or whatever it may be. And to me, that feeling is irreplaceable, right?
Absolutely.
I try to, every single day, one of my mottos is every single day, I want to be better than the day I was before, right? And whatever aspect presents itself, whether that's, with my family or with my friends or at work or on this podcast. I'm doing an awesome podcast right now, so I'm already better than I was yesterday because I didn't do a podcast. No, but it really is true because, and you keep adding up these little wins and these little victories, and suddenly you look back in 3 years and you say, I can't believe how far I've come. And sometimes that's how you have to measure because, like we said, there's a lot of challenges in this industry. And so if you try to look day to day, it can be a little overwhelming. But once you string a bunch of those together and you look back over a period of time, that's when you can kind of,
Absolutely. Well, I have these moments of weakness in my apprenticeship where same thing. I'm like, it's just taking so long. And am I really where I should be at this point? And, and then you look back and you're like, in the last 3 years, when I first started, I didn't know this and this and this. Like, I've come a long way. And I think it's really important to take a second and recognize that in yourself, that you can do hard things and you can pretty much do anything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Very well said. All right. One more question for you. And then we can call it quits. I know you're busy. I know you got other stuff to do, but, so it's kind of a related question, but not really. It extends more into the personal aspect of things. But one of the things I like to push is that the skilled trades offers people the opportunity to find success however they define it, right? Because there's so many different opportunities. There's so many different trajectories. You can be in the field, you can be in the office, you can grow to management, you can own your own business, you can take this skill set, you can take it completely out of the trades and you can put it into a completely different career if you find that it's not what works for you.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but so this definition of success is something that I tend to highlight a little bit because everybody's is usually different.
Mm-hmm.
So Jess, your definition of success, what is it? Your overall definition of success, not just professionally, not just personally, but the whole kit and caboodle. What's your definition of success?
I would say my definition of success is finding and having like full, complete happiness in your life. And however that looks like for you or however that's brought to you. For me, it's physical activity, working out, keeping my body and my mind strong. And it's still keeping my mind strong with a daily challenge. If I can overcome a challenge, I feel good and I feel happy. Good. Yeah, I think success has got to do with your level of happiness, like genuine happiness.
That's great. That's such a perfect answer. Do you know how many people don't say money? Just about
Interesting,
everybody.
eh?
I've had one or two people say money, and all the power to them. But it's just amazing because, you know, in school and throughout our lives, you know, we're taught to measure success by one basic metric, and that's how wealthy we are.
Yeah.
You know, but no one ever considers that as a way to be successful. Sure, it's a catalyst. You know, sure, it helps in certain aspects, but you know, only to get you to what your actual definition of success is, which in your case is happiness. So, you know, that's wonderful. And what you're doing right now, is that pushing you closer to that goal?
100%.
Love it.
Yes.
That's awesome. So before we wrap it up, is there anything else that you want to say to our audience about the trades, about you? You know, I'll let you tell people where they can find you in a second, but did I miss anything?
No, I think we covered a lot today. Just the importance of making the trades accessible to the future generations. Not only accessible, but appealing, because they really are a great option. The stereotypes are still there, so we need to get over those. And I think the best way is to keep showing how awesome it is to be in the trades. I saw this great quote, you can't be what you can't see. So the more we put ourselves out there as people in the trades, as women in the trades, the more accessible it will be for future generations. So keep posting on your Instagram.
I love that. You can't be what you can't see. That's fantastic. That's gonna go in the description I use for you.
Well,
so.
I mean, think about kids thinking about a policeman or a fireman. You know, they're not thinking about a person with long hair, and you know, let's see more fire women out there. Just exposure of them.
Hell yeah. No, absolutely. Very good. Well, Jess, where can people find you?
I have 3 places.
All right.
One is HVACJess. I'm on Instagram. I have a website, HVACJess.com. So check me out there. I also have my company's Instagram, CamCool Inc. is my family's business. It's just myself, my dad, and my brother. And then Women in HVAC are Canada. We're on Instagram as well. We're on LinkedIn, all the socials. We've got a website, and you're going to see a lot of us in the coming times.
Awesome. I'll be on the lookout for that, and I'll be sure to include those handles and the website in the description on the show too.
Awesome. So, thank you.
Jess, thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I really, really appreciate it.
It was a great chat. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.